Hey everyone, Jeff Pitch. What I want to talk about today is marketing. Marketing from an IT department. I know that's the big M word. It can be scary and it is something most technical people hate dealing with is marketing. But the reason I want to bring this up is we're in the middle of this coronavirus, stay at home, work from home thing going on right now, the pandemic across the world. And many new people are working from home where they never have before. So what you're seeing is, or what you're getting is you're giving people their first experience at working from home, accessing their applications, accessing their desktops, and how is that experience going for them? Is that good? Is it bad? Is it somewhere in between? Because what's going to happen is that they're going to go back, and if it's good, they'll spread the news. If it's bad, they'll spread the news across the organization, possibly to other companies with friends and whatnot. It's always the initial impression that leaves the biggest impression when you're working with something new or discovering something new. So if it's bad, how do you get over that? A lot of companies were caught very much off guard. Especially larger ones. I know we plan for these types of things. We have DR scenarios, all this stuff. But in the end, I don't think we ever truly believe this is going to happen. And it has. It's been crazy. So end user computing is at the forefront right now. We have to give people access to their apps, have to give people access to their desktops. If work can go on, it must go on. So now let's, skip forward, hopefully, a few months, and we're all getting back into work, and you are looking at potentially rolling this out more, or maybe you were mid-project, rolling out virtual desktops, rolling out virtual applications, being delivered in some new way to the end users. A few things that I've learned over the years, and especially just talking with IT administrators from across the spectrum of businesses, whether it's your typical corporation, a nonprofit, EDU, they all have the same issue when it comes to any large project, is getting user buy-in. And that can make or break a project. I've seen virtual desktop rollouts halt because it hit a group of people, it didn't quite go as well as it should have, or somebody had preconceived notions, and therefore it got up to the executive and it eventually just got canceled. It just, it wasn't working. It may have been working, but it wasn't working. So you need to be aware of these things. In talking with the other companies that have had successful rollouts, they've all gone about it different ways. But I've seen enough commonalities, I think, that I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention if you haven't thought about it. Most people don't think of IT as being in the marketing department, but every time you talk to an end user, every time you talk to, your manager or the manager of marketing or accounting or the CEO, the president, whatever, you're marketing. You're marketing what you're doing. You're marketing yourself. You're marketing a project, what have you. So the key is, when these big projects come up, like a virtual desktop rollout, it could be anything. How do you get that buy-in from the end users? So I've got 5 tips that I'm going to go over real quickly, and I hope you get something out of this. And if you have any of your own, please let me know. You can pass those along. Number one, the number one thing you must not do is mention virtual. The actual word. Don't call it a virtual desktop. Call it a desktop. What you're trying to avoid is the idea that you're making a huge change. There's nothing worse than a user hearing virtual, and maybe they've heard that word before, but they don't completely understand, but maybe they had a friend that told them about a virtual desktop rollout that didn't go so well. So what I typically say is just refer to it just as a desktop. You're getting a new desktop. And I think that goes a long way towards easing end users into the change. Number two is something that is probably going to be a harder sell, especially to managers, but in the end, it really makes a huge difference, I think. And that is make the rollout fun. How do you do that? Well, I've seen, I worked with a university that they had banners strung up, like if they were going to do a department, it was kind of like a celebration of getting a new desktop. They had stickers, they had, like I said, the banners, they had posters, they would do all this fun stuff when a department was about to get cut over. That it made it, it just, again, it makes it fun for the end user. They feel involved, and they embrace that in many cases. Third one is keeping those users in the loop. Now, I'm not saying you have to go through and document out everything for them, but kind of a maybe a weekly newsletter, bi-weekly newsletter, or whatever communication method you use for to get information to end users. You can make it high level. I wouldn't go into detail. That's a definite no-no. They don't want details. They don't need details, and details just confuses the issue. So you want to just give a fun write-up of where you're at, what group is coming next, or how testing has gone. It's making the end users feel included in all of this. And obviously you want to be talking to the end users as well beforehand, whether you're doing testing with them or even if you're not doing testing with them, just to get them comfortable with the change that's coming up. Which brings up point number 4. Watch your language. Yes, this kind of ties into one with, don't use the word virtual. But when you're talking to end users, the advantages that you see with virtual desktops is not going to be the advantages that you want to be passing along to an end user. They typically don't care why IT thinks this is an advantage. So you have to sell them on what do they find important. Is it ease of access to an application? They can get to it from anywhere. Is it, what is it about their job that you're going to make easier or better? It's those types of things. You're again, working with the end user, talking to the end user, but you don't want to go into technical detail, because that's a lot of what we as technical people do. Try to describe your job without going into detail. Most people won't understand what your job is. You could explain it 10 ways, and typically they're just not going to understand. How do you explain virtual desktops? How do you explain end user computing in simple enough terms that they understand, and they just don't go, oh God, that's just too complicated. I can't. I don't know what you do. It's a hard thing to do, but if you do it and you do it right, it just makes the project that much better, and should be much more successful. This last piece, number 5, I found this one fascinating when I was first told about what a company was doing to make the end users feel even a little bit more special. So what you're rolling out now, whether you're doing, you're repurposing PCs, you're bringing in some sort of thin client, whatever the case may be, it's going to be a change to them. They know there's a change coming. One of the ways they got around that was they would give end users something new, whether it was a new monitor, could be a new mouse and keyboard, something along those lines. They got something new that made it like, oh yeah, you really did do something nice for me, and you gave me this great new monitor, that type of thing. So you think about that. A mouse and keyboard can be cheap. Even a decent monitor can be pretty affordable, and if it means the difference between a successful project and an unsuccessful project, I'd go with success and give them a little something new, just to be able to have them have that good feeling. You're having them feel good about what's happening, and in the end, that is really what you're looking to do. You want them not afraid of another IT project. You want them excited, and you can get them excited. And it does take a mind shift, into kind of a marketing mode to be able to get that done. But when it's done successfully, the world is your oyster at that point, or your company is your oyster. So that's it for today, folks. I will see you in my next video.